Hi, it's a corn film. Today I'm going to tell you story of the 2012 That's My Boy. Self-confident teenager Donnie Berger declares to his friends that he no longer likes girls, he prefers women. When he meets his teacher, Mrs. Mary McGarrigle, in the school corridor, she gives the boy mixed feelings. Donnie offers her one ticket to a Van Halen concert. After the ambiguous remarks, Donnie is left behind after school. As it turns out later, Miss McGarrigle has feelings for the guy in return. She's been stalking him for a year. The couple begins a forbidden affair. At one of the school assemblies, their secret is put out in the open. Donnie Berger instantly becomes a star among his peers. Mary McGarrigle is having a hard time. In addition to getting pregnant, she was given 30 years in prison, and the baby was given to Donnie for foster care until the child was 18 years old. Donnie literally became a star. He was invited to various programs. His picture appeared more and more often on the covers of magazines. But 30 years later, things were not as rosy as when he was young. Donnie drove an old car and lived an ordinary life. And to top it all off, he had $43,000 to pay, which was unpaid taxes from his youth. He was getting a lot of money back then, but he forgot about paying taxes. For some reason he thought those sums were already deducted from his fees. His lawyer advised him to either bet on the fat man in the 8,000 to 1 marathon, or to ask his son for money. But Donnie doubts that his son wants to communicate with him. Except for the fact that Han Solo has changed his name. Now he is Todd Peterson. He's lost a lot of weight. The guy is unrecognizable. After hearing about the publication in the magazine, Todd is not very happy about it. He thinks that anyone can find them that way. Apparently he really does not want his father to find him. While browsing the magazine for job, Donnie recognized his son on one of the pages. It turns out he's marrying the beautiful Jamie Martin. According to the magazine, Peterson is one of the youngest and most successful managers in the world of finance, despite the fact that his parents died in a fire. Donnie was surprised by this, but realized that his son just didn't want him to find it. Todd Peterson brings his fiancée and her parents to his boss's country house for the weekend. The boss is very pleased with them. He is proud of Todd. They were all chatting nicely together when suddenly Jamie's brother, Chadwick, a stern Marine, appeared. He let Todd know from the get-go that he was always ready to stand up for his sister. At that time, Donnie came to Mr. Morgan, who owns a local TV show that used to have a show with Donnie on it. There he met Vanilla Ice. They used to be friends until Donnie hooked up with his mom. The guys got into a fight, but Mr. Morgan stopped them. Donnie tried to talk Morgan into resuming the show. He suggested reuniting with Miss McGarrigle in prison, and Morgan liked the idea, but he made his own condition that Donnie's son must star with them. Donnie must go to McGarrigle's prison with his son Todd. While everyone was having a nice conversation at Todd's boss's house, Donnie burst into their house abruptly. Todd was taken aback by his father's appearance. He introduced his father as an old friend. Donnie immediately appealed to everyone with his funny demeanor. Everyone suggested to Donnie to stay with them. Of course, Todd wasn't too happy about it, but he couldn't go against everyone. After remaining on and on, Todd and Donnie began to argue. Todd talking about how his father shouldn't have shown up because he had created a new life. Todd expressed that he was a terrible father because he didn't give him any time at all, didn't play with him or teach him anything. And on top of that, because of the sugary breakfasts, Todd now has to inject insulin every day because he's diabetic. In response to this, Donnie played up the drama. He lied about Todd's mother being sick. Todd just has to go to the prison to see his mother. Todd strongly disagrees. Todd has to go to his guests. Donnie easily found common ground with everyone present. He talked them up with his stories, and everyone liked him madly. One of the guests even recognized him as a formerly popular teenager. Everyone discovers that he is the same Donnie Berger, the boy the teacher gave birth to. There's talk of Han Solo himself, to which Donnie responds that his son became a detective. Later, Donnie's appearance began to get out of hand. Witness duties are handed over to Donnie. Todd was not exactly thrilled. Donnie happily accepts the witness role and offered to play baseball. Todd hated the sport. While everyone was showing off their cool skills, Todd just got hit in the face with a ball. That night, Donnie found out that the show The Donnie Burger Story had been renewed. He should be paid for it, but last time he was paid pennies, and that wouldn't be enough. The most important thing for Donnie now is to find $50,000, because if he doesn't find it, he'll have to go to jail on Tuesday. Before going to bed, Jamie wanted to brag about her $12,000 wedding dress. Jamie started talking about her son Donnie. As it turned out, he handed everyone his book dedicated to his son. As it turned out, Donnie was looking for Han. Todd was touched by this. He wanted to be distracted by his intimacy with Jamie, but she wasn't in the mood. The next morning, the family went to the church for the wedding rehearsal. Father McNally, the local priest, offered to give a speech to Todd's father, but as it was known, Todd's father had died in a fire, and when the priest expressed sympathy, Todd said his father deserved it. However, McNally explained to Todd that he would not be allowed to speak ill of his parents in the Holy Temple, to which Todd rudely replied that the priest's breath stinks. McNally called Todd outside, and as soon as they got outside, he punched him. There was a fight between them. Todd was in danger. Turns out McNally had killed a man once, so he became a priest. Todd was almost finished, but then Donnie intervened and hit the priest over the head. The whole family was angry with Todd because he had ruined everything again. Jamie was confused about where they were going to get married, but Donnie figured it out. He told a heartbreaking fable about his dead father, and as always, the family believed Donnie. Everyone's mood changed, so they just decided to find a new priest. But they wouldn't be allowed into the church itself anyway. Donnie suggested that the boys get married at the oceanfront. The guys are having a bachelor party. Donnie is expecting girls and alcohol, but when the company showed up at the spa, there was a whole other kind of entertainment waiting for them. As it turned out, massage, facials, and nail treatments were waiting for them. Instead of alcohol, they were offered water with an infusion of rose petals. Of course, Donnie was not happy with this and resented such a dull evening. He suggested the guys continue the evening elsewhere. He promised to make a great evening and quickly got the whole group interested. Donnie took the group to his club, and the men had a great time. Todd had a great time too. Donnie sent the boys home and stayed with Todd. He wanted to talk to him alone. The first thing he does is give his son his wedding present, in a case with a picture of Todd's mother, Mrs. McGarrigle. Inside is an earring with a feather in it. It's the earring Mary herself gave him. Donnie suggests making it a tradition to give this earring to his children, but Todd's ear is not pierced. After some hesitation, Todd agrees to pierce the ear to wear the earring. Donnie pierces his ear right on the spot. Enduring terrible pain, Todd confesses that he feels much more manly. Donnie and Todd decide to get the whole old gang together. They come to Vanilla Ice's rink. Donnie apologizes and they make up. Vanilla Ice kept waiting for a simple apology. Todd and Donnie offer to let Vanilla Ice hang out. He agrees and quits his job. Donnie seems to be getting along with his son, and they're having a good time together. Donnie teaches Todd how to ride a bike. Todd shares his childhood grievances, to which Donnie promises never to leave Todd. Todd almost learns how to ride his bike, but then he crashes into a parked car and flies over it. They end up running away from the man who was in the car with the girl. The evening ends with a big hug and an apology from Donnie, and Todd offers to go to jail with Donnie himself, but he decides to talk his son out of it, as he sincerely does not want to profit from Todd. Despite his father's excuses, Todd decides to go to his mother. It turns out that Todd is already on his way to prison, which he tells his father over the phone. Upon learning of this, Donnie rushes out to get his son to prevent Todd from meeting with the TV crew. After meeting Todd in prison, Donnie tries in every way to get his son out of there, but then McGarrigle arrives. She still has mixed feelings for Donnie, but the boys couldn't avoid meeting the TV people. While they were talking to Mary, Morgan came up to them. It immediately became clear to Todd. He realized that Donnie had just decided to use him. Offended, Todd runs away from there. Donnie catches up with him. He tries to explain to his son that he will go to jail if he doesn't pay back a lot of money to the IRS. But Todd won't listen to him. He says he hates Donnie. Morgan refuses to pay Donnie unless Todd gives up the rights to the video. Even though the relationship is damaged, Donnie still tries to make contact with his son. Back home, Donnie overhears a conversation between Jamie and a certain Steve, and it turns out that Jamie is marrying Todd for money. At one night, Donnie tries to explain to Todd that Jamie is not who she seems. He says that his fiancée is cheating on him with a certain Steve. Todd doesn't even want to hear anything about it. He thinks that Donnie is just trying to destroy his life. When Jamie shows up, Donnie tells her directly that he knows all about her conversation with Steve. But Jamie claims to have spoken to Steve Goldstein, the wedding reporter, and she didn't want Todd to know about it, since he doesn't like to appear in the press. Jamie turns it around so that Donnie turns out to be a jerk, and she just decides to tell the world about her wedding to Todd. Since the bride and groom must sleep separately before the wedding, Jamie stays at the hotel. Donnie decides to become Jamie's friend so that she can reconcile her and Todd. Donnie arrives at the hotel where the girl is staying. Finding out which room Jamie is sleeping in, he goes up to her room, but when he stops by the door, he hears ambiguous noises coming from the room. He decides to sneak into the room through the balcony to expose the unfaithful bride. Once in the room, he discovers the truth. Yes, Jamie is cheating on Todd. In bed with the bride is her own brother. Jamie declares that she loves Todd and wants to live her life with him, but just has fun with her brother from time to time. Donnie decides to save his son and tell him everything, but sly Jamie decides to bribe Donnie with money to make Todd happy with her, and unfortunately this manipulation works. On the day of the wedding, Donnie calls his lawyer, informing him that he has money. At that time, Donnie found a gift from Todd, which he had given him as a witness. In the box is an oven mitt, a toy from Todd's childhood that Donnie used to make him laugh when he was sad. At the last minute, Donnie decides to save the day. He runs in to get Vanilla Ice, and they rush to Todd's wedding. Running in at the last minute, the father prevents his son from making a mistake. Donnie declares that he is against this marriage. First, he tries to convince Todd that he doesn't love Jamie. Then he tells everyone that he is Todd's father. At that time, Chad, Jamie's brother, accidentally blabs about the check that Jamie wrote. Donnie confesses that he took the money to save himself from jail, but immediately rips up the check in front of everyone. He is forced to tell Todd the whole truth or everyone will find out. After learning the truth, Todd leaves Jamie and tells Steve to quit his job. After making a mess, he leaves with his father. Later, in the company of his son and friends, Donnie eats a farewell cake before going to jail. Despite Todd's offer to pay for it, Donnie decides to do his time. At that moment, Donnie's lawyer bursts into the club. In a panic, he turns on the TV. Turns out that at the time it is the same marathon, and the fat man on which Donnie bet $20, with a probability of winning 8,000 to 1, is one of the first before the finish. If the fat man ran first, Donnie gets $160,000. In the end, the fat guy gets to the finish line first and brings Donnie a lot of money. Our summary of the movie comes to an end here. Don't forget to subscribe on our channel. See you in the next video. Love you.